So the world is waking up. Citizens across the globe have turned on their governments, saying we are done with the migration issue. We are done with overly emotional charged language. We are done with your suicidal empathy. No more are we going to be victims to your governance and your way of literally ruining the culture of these countries by bringing in massive amounts of people. Japan's prime minister was one of those people in government that was aligned with the global agenda to literally completely water down Japanese culture with people from Nigeria. And guess what? The people didn't like it very much at all. They rose in backlash, an anti-immigration backlash movement. And what does he do in response? Well, he resigns, of course, because he's going to resign in shame. And this will be the last time we ever see or hear of his name. Hopefully, thank God.
急なご案内で誠に恐縮であります。この度私は自由民主党総裁の職を辞することといたしました。
Let's go, dude. Oh, man. Fuck around and find out. Hose be mad. Didn't end like he thought it would. But UK Prime Minister, after losing his deputy Prime Minister to tax fraud, to tax dodging, she was a tax dodger, and now she's gone. Well, he implemented a new Home Secretary who is a Pakistani woman who has full ideology of open borders. So evidently, when Keir Starmer said that he wanted to solve the immigration problem, he actually didn't, because this is who he decided to bring into office.
You know, the people that you see holding the English flag most of the time down my neck of the woods will be the EDL, and they are white and they are male and they're bad people and they want to divide our communities from one another.
As you can see, they hate you. You heard it from herself. You heard it from the horse's mouth themselves, that you are white, you are male, and you're only there to divide the country. They consider the Raise the Colors movement completely racist and a hate crime. They hate this country, they hate our flag, and they hate our people. And they do. They absolutely do. They hate this country, they hate their flag, and they hate their own people. It's absolutely right. But what are they going to do about it? Well, there is a literal response to the Raise the Colors movement where they want to make it a hate crime now to basically raise your own flag. Labor government is setting up a response to the Raise the Colors movement, and they want to make it a hate crime, people, to raise your own country's flag. Make sure you like the video so that YouTube counts your view as a view, and subscribe to stay updated on this. I'll keep you updated on all of it. Let's go, boys.
Well, in the meantime, whenever that election is held, you've still got potentially years of this government, this zombie government, as you describe it, that from where I sit seems to really not like the people or the country that it
No,
is.
they don't, dude. If they have a problem with raising your own country's flag, if it's a crime to raise your own country's flag, you might be underneath foreign occupation. That's all I'm gonna say.
Governing now. I've been shocked to see all of these displays of English flags, which you would think be normally wonderful displays of patriotism.
Yep.
But apparently, according to GB News, the Home Office has decided to set up a hate crimes.
They're going to make it a hate crime. Dude, North Korea's Starmer could not get any closer to trying to kiss up to the CCP. Like, he could not get his nose any closer to Xi Jinping's ass. That dude is full-blown in between there. He is as close as he could get with these kind of governance that he's doing. He's like, oh, I'm so against immigration. Let me hire a new Home Secretary who's in charge of immigration with open border policies. Like, you're so full of it. Oh, they're raising their own country's flag. Like, let me make it a hate crime to raise the flag of England. Like, are you, dude? This is ridiculous.
Apparently, displays of English flags set up a narrative challenge. What is this narrative?
Oh my God, anti-Muslim hatred.
The good old St. George Cross might be challenging there.
Yep.
Well, once again, patriotism has been conflated with far-right activism. Now, I understand the St. George's flag in the past, years ago, was associated with some far-right activism. But we're now in 2025.
I don't think it's associated at all. It's the St. George flag. It is the flag of the country. If it's still considered the flag, if it's still considered a flag of the country, then it's not, okay? It's literally just a flag. It is literal patriotism at its core. There is no, whether it's underneath a far right regime or a far left regime, it doesn't matter. It is still the country's flag. There is no association going on.
I think if you're an ethnic minority or anyone who looks at the St. George's flag or the Union Jack and feels intimidated or threatened by it, I would argue that it's more likely that you're not integrated or you don't actually value this country.
Yeah, just say it with your chest. They're not integrated. They're not. They're absolutely not integrated. This is happening all across the globe. Rome is in shambles. Italy in shambles. Sweden, Germany in shambles. Japan was in shambles. Australia is decimated. It's insane what is going on. They are bringing in people from countries that hate Western society and expecting them to integrate. They're not going to integrate. They're going to try to reform, and that's what they want. They want to reform the UK to be like Saudi Arabia or Iran or Iraq. They want it to be like Pakistan. And all the places that they came from are terrible. They hated it there so much that they had to flee it, but they want to make Western countries exactly the same, and it's ridiculous.
Personally, whenever I see a St. George's flag or Union Jack, I feel elated. I feel
You should.
Now, in 2025, we live in a situation where London is minority white, 35% white, as are towns and cities like Birmingham, Luton, Leicester, and so on. We have the white working class girls who have been denied justice because of stoking community tensions when it comes to the grooming gang scandals. We have states.
Yeah, community tensions. Oh my goodness, dude! Just enforce the law. The law it's illegal. It's against. Stop with this two-tier justice system and just enforce the law equally, and the problem will solve itself. That's the issue. They're not arresting these people that are breaking the law. They're not arresting these people that are arriving, illegally. They're not solving the issue at all. They're only enforcing the law on tax-paying British citizens and citizens of the countries. Okay, it's very clear what's going on. They hate their own countries.
DEI, which is anti-white racism sponsored by the state. We even have things like the government legislating it in court and fighting in court against local citizens to keep migrant hotels open.
Yeah. Epping, they literally ruled against the citizens to keep the Epping migrant hotel open. They said that asylum seekers' rights are more important than the citizens. That were their exact words, and it was insane. It was ridiculous. If the people there are the ones that are paying you and putting you in power, you should probably be doing what the people want. But instead, they're trying to follow a North Korea-style regime of, we're just here to protect the kids. That's why we want to censor the whole internet. It's not to hide these protests that are happening all across the globe. Like, I think everyone has seen through the nonsense nowadays.
Arguing that migrants
we're just tired of it. We're absolutely tired of it.
And so when you have that kind of situation in 2025, how can you conclude that this country is racist or there is a risk of far-right activism? You can't conclude that. So what we're really seeing is this, what we call Operation Raise the Colors.
I am so tired of the far-right argument, by the way. I am so tired of that far-right argument. Anybody that is not far left, they call far-right. And it is one of the most overused terms today. It's insane. I think it's more overused than racist, bigot. I hate all of those terms. I hate all of those labels. But far right is literally the most overused term right now that there is. They call every single person that does not agree with them a far right Nazi. And it is insanely ridiculous. Like, these people have no idea what the actual average citizen is even thinking anymore.
What this has been officially termed is the oppressed majority rallying against multicultural dogma and an establishment that will not listen.
Yep.
Rita. And talking about that establishment, we had the disgraceful scenes of a comedy writer, incredible comedy writer, Graham Linehan, being arrested. I mean, for things he said, posted online when he was in America. He's not even a British citizen.
No, he's a citizen. He's an Irish citizen, and he posted them while he was in America. And he went to the UK and got arrested by 5 armed police officers for the words that he posted on social media.
And I just wonder, does that put all of us in danger? If we've said things like, there's only 2 genders, that men can't have babies, that men have absolutely no right to be in women's spaces. Whatever it is that is offensive to this activist class that seems to have infiltrated the British police force, are we going to get arrested as soon as we touch down at Heathrow?
Yeah, you are.
Well, the answer is I don't know, and that's part of the problem. We don't know what we're allowed.
12,000 arrests a year in the UK over social media posts, over language, people. They are very clearly trying to control a narrative, and they're losing their grasp on the people. And the people have had enough. They're so fed up with it, and I am too. I think it's ridiculous. I am so tired of the argument that there is some multicultural paradise that exists where there can be equal amounts of people from all cultures, and it would just work because it's a multicultural paradise. That has never happened in the dawn of civilization. Do you know what happens whenever there's an equal amount of cultures? There's a cultural clash, and it usually ends in blood, and it is never good. Never good.
To say. So everyone is in some way kind of self-censoring and looking over their shoulder about what's going to happen in some state of paranoia. We've had Lucy Connolly, you probably heard that name, who's been jailed for tweets. We've had Peter Lynch, who was jailed for protesting just for holding a fairly innocent placard, and he eventually committed suicide in prison. So we've had multiple situations where free speech and the establishment has been cracking down on ordinary citizens. And this is probably the worst and the most climatic incident that's happened, and I hope it's going to be a line in the sand to actually say enough is enough.
You wonder why they wanted to enforce the Online Safety Act. You wonder why they literally wanted to enforce the Online Safety Act, force you to put your ID on all your social media accounts, even tried to do it here in the U.S. They're even trying to pass the COSA Act here in the U.S., all under the guise of protect the kids. You wonder why they wanted to do that? It's so that they could arrest you, so they could know who was saying what, and if you oppose the government's ideology, their current far freaking left regime ideology, then you're going to jail. That's exactly why they're trying to do that, which is why they denied so many petitions and so many protests against it. And it's insane. There is a literal North Korea going on in the UK where they deny their own citizens' rights, their own citizens' right to the freedom of speech, their own citizens' rights to the freedom of protest. I mean, they were arresting the freaking protest organizers and leaders just for organizing the protests or just for raising flags. And it's very clear what's going on. They are literally an authoritarian regime right now with some of the most oppressive laws that we have seen in Western civilization in a long time. Well, I say ever.
Met Police and Mark Rowley, they blamed the government and said this is about your legislation. But really, the Met Police have been played by trans activists.
Yes.
And the reality is that this is about common sense. This is about legislation. This report was passed through multiple chains of command at multiple levels of the police force, and at every level they escalated to the extent that 5 armed police officers needed to meet Graham Linehan at Heathrow Airport to arrest him. I mean, this is absolutely insane.
Like he was a threat to the state. That's what they do for threats to the state or threats to public people. So threats to civilians. That's what they do to somebody that's a threat. Not when they're arresting someone that is not even a citizen of the UK, that's a citizen of Ireland, in a US resident. Not whenever they're arresting someone over social media posts. They literally are trying to make him the next political prisoner. Okay, they have had many political prisoners so far, and he is just the next one. It's very clear. UK is basically North Korea right now.
And this is the reason why Nigel Farage, and this is great timing, because Nigel Farage was on his way to to Washington to actually talk about free speech. And he put it to the American establishment and just to say this is a crisis, warning them and trying to humiliate and also put pressure on Keir Starmer to actually make the right decision. Now, he was wildly condemned as being unpatriotic and talking down.
Called him unpatriotic while also Keir Starmer called Nigel Farage unpatriotic for going to ask the U.S. for help. And meanwhile, at the exact same time, he is appointing somebody that has open border policies that the people are directly against, which he publicly acknowledged that the people were against the migration problem. And he just appointed somebody with open border policies. By the way, after the deputy prime minister got absolutely outed for tax dodging, who was it? Keir Starmer literally went on a campaign to clean the slate, erased all the members of parliament, mixed them all up, mixed them all around so they could all avoid accountability the same way that she had, so that they could basically say, hey, they're out now. There's no more incompetence going on over here. But in reality, he's just moved the pieces around, moved all the prime ministers around, moved all of the Labour Party around just to dodge accountability. And it's insane. Okay, everybody can see it. They're not even lying about it anymore. I mean, the world is in upheaval. This is ridiculous.
Britain on the international stage. But I would say what's unpatriotic is to stand by in silence and watch as the fundamental principles that made your society are being undermined by government that, again, will not listen. And Nigel Farage is being absolutely patriotic by getting out there and appealing to the likes of Donald Trump and J.D. Vance to actually stand up for us, because we feel like we've been held hostage.
Somebody has to. Nigel Farage might not be the best answer, but whenever you're surrounded in shit, everywhere you look is shit. I'm going to tell you something. Crap rolls downhill. So if you're in a pile of shit, all you got to do is look up and you see Keir Starmer. And the only real answer to this right now is a normal politician like Nigel Farage, or somebody that could actually enact some good change that isn't a freaking, absolute traitor to the country that he's supposed to be running. And it's insane for Keir Starmer to call him unpatriotic. Meanwhile, he is literally dumping loads of crap on the populace. I mean, it's a kind
Myron, in the case of Graham Lynham, it's almost too late. Have a listen to him here. He's basically saying he can't live in Britain any longer. Have a listen.
The police state and the police work for trans activists and left-wing lunatics like that, and they don't work for the people anymore.
No, it's a two-tier justice system.
I bet a nice policeman there, but they're isolated because the rest of the police force is just completely captured by gender ideology. So, yeah, I don't want to live here anymore because of that.
So, Myron, what hope for Britain if someone like Graham, who's one of the great comic talents, I mean, who will be next? Will it be John Cleese kicked out or whatever? I mean, this is really serious stuff. Do the majority of Brits understand how far this Orwellian censorship has gone?
I think up until this point, there was always some pushback from the left saying...
I think that they refuse to see it. The left side, the side of the aisle that we really need to get on board to make super huge changes, they just don't see it. They've got these blinders on, and they refuse to see reality because somebody else has dictated their morality for them. So they just come back with overly emotionally charged language and suicidal empathy and say that you should feel the same way too because of their skewed sense of morality, just because they outsource their morality to somebody else.
Oh, you're exaggerating, you're pushing it too far. No, it's just an isolated case here or there, or that was necessary. But this is one of those cases that universally, across the board, left and right, everybody has been scratching their heads trying to work out what's going on. And I think Mark Rowley, who's head of the Met Police, is actually embarrassed. He's been played and he's been weaponized by the trans activists. And I think it's now clear that what's happened in the police force, as well as the universities and the judiciary, is that, yes, they've been captured. There's been an over...
No, I'll tell you what's going on. You've got leaders in government that full-blown know exactly what they are doing. They are not incompetent. They are malevolent. They no longer are listening to the people. They know that their ideas are not popular and that what they are enforcing is mainly massively impopular. Okay, it's not popular in the slightest. They don't care. They don't care what their citizenry thinks. They're doing it anyway. And what do you call that? You call that an authoritarian regime. They are absolutely basically trying to be the next North Korea. And I don't want to see where the UK is going next.
Academization, if you like, of the police force, where they see the university woke ideology as being more important than what's actually going on the ground. Understand, if my house got burgled last year, nobody came. I mean, 2 days later, somebody came and then looked around, gave me a number, but nothing happened. And phones, we're the phones are getting stolen all over the place in London. And we're the capital of that in Europe. And so all across the board, crime is soaring. Knife crime.
They're not enforcing crime either. It's a two-tier justice system, and they're not enforcing violent crimes. They're not enforcing the law. That if they just enforced the law, it would make a major difference, but they refuse to. That's the issue. You have to get crime off the streets. You have to, because there are wolves in sheep clothing that will absolutely prey on the law-abiding citizens of society, and you as the government are supposed to do your job and protect those that always try to stand in the right and do the right thing. But instead, they've left them to the wolves. They've literally fed them to them. They've brought the wolves to the doorstep and said, here you go. You have free reign. You can do whatever you want, and we will not stop you. It's very clear whenever they arrest somebody for a third offense of a violent crime and they let them off the hook again, they put them back out into the street again. The UK government has turned on the people. They have. They are no longer listening. And anybody that doesn't see that is absolutely captured by somebody else's morality or ideology who has taught them to think that way. And it's insane.
Soaring, shoplifting is soaring, but yet we have 5 armed police officers coming to Heathrow Airport. And when you
he's a danger to society.
You realize there is something absolutely rotten in our public institutions.
Yes.
And I think people are now, because
it's
of this
malevolent,
case, are waking up to it.
Well, Myron, I always say where Britain goes 6 months later or so goes Australia as well. And
the U.S. The U.S. is like 2 years behind Britain, okay? Britain is definitely the canary in the mine for every other Western civilization. And if Britain is this bad, this authoritarian, this fast, I am terrified to see where the future goes. But I'll keep you updated, so make sure you subscribe.
Orwellian laws coming in later this year as well. But Myron, the mistake you made, next time you're burgled, just phone the police and say, there's a guy in a dress who's burglaring my house. You'll have 5 police officers around straight away. Thanks. Always great to chat to you, Myron, and we'll speak again.
Yeah, they'll be there to arrest him. Just to show you what's going on, the new Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, who was put in place by Keir Starmer, her first full day in office, what does she do? Over 1,000 illegal immigrants are chaperoned in the UK by those paid to protect Britain's borders, all unvetted, and will be housed, taken to hotels across the country, all paid for by the taxpayer. This is what he puts in place whenever Starmer hears that the people are against the mass migration. He just makes the issue worse. And if you call it out, you will 100% be censored and maybe even arrested for the posts that you make online, which is why me, as a U.S. citizen, am going to continue to call it out, because I love the freedom of speech, and there's not a damn thing that old Starmer could do about it. Because I wanted to come to the UK, guys. I did. I wanted to come see the buildings, all the old infrastructure. I wanted to see it because it's all so beautiful, but it's something that's basically poisonous now. It's beautiful from afar. You have to look at it from afar, because what you said 2 years ago could land you in jail if you go take a holiday to the UK right now. And I'm just not doing that. I'm not going to do it. I mean, I might one of these days. If a viewer really wants to come sign something over there, I might come, hang out in the UK for a little bit, risk getting, made a political prisoner, but whatever. You can't help that. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But this is what the new Home Secretary has in mind for the UK. This is ridiculous. It's insane. This is the issue. What happened in Japan is absolutely supposed to have been what happened in the UK. there was a petition with over 2 million signatures calling for UK Starmer to literally for another vote to be held for a different prime minister, and he absolutely denied the people. There was a petition with over 2 million signatures to basically remove the Online Safety Act that was censoring the people, and Keir Starmer said, nah, they won't even hold a debate in Parliament over it, even though they're supposed to, because these, by the way, are state-sponsored petitions. These are petitions the state puts out that are supposed to basically give you a guaranteed debate in the parliamentary floor to basically rehold or rehash these laws so that they can be changed if the citizens don't like them. And they flat out denied a debate. They won't even give a date for one. So it's not happening. Their North Korea Starmer has taken control. And yeah, it's very clear that the people don't like it. Even in Australia, where we had the same thing happening, where there was the same march, the same Raise the Colors movement, where people marched down the streets with the flags, they had the same exact emotionally charged language. They called them far-right extremists. They called them basically, hateful bigots that just want to divide the country, and not the patriots that they are. And they're still going to enforce the ban the teens thing that's going on in Australia, where they're going to ban teens from the internet altogether. The lady that runs Australia basically just said exactly that. The e-safety commissioner, Julie Enham Grant, had told Meta, Google, TikTok, and other platforms to prepare to deactivate teen accounts, warning they must act now to stop kids from changing their age to dodge the ban. This is ridiculous. This is what I'm talking about. Yes, we shouldn't have kids on social media, but you should obviously not be censoring adults to do so. They don't want to just ban teen accounts from YouTube and everywhere else. They want to censor the entire internet. That's their main agenda. So don't think that it's just about getting kids off the internet. If they wanted to do that, then there would be kid devices that kids had. But instead, they want to censor the entire internet, control it from everywhere, basically control all adults' freedom of speech from all over the place, from the USA to Japan, and make it to where just in the idea of quote unquote protect the kids, they'll get you to give up your civilities, your human rights, all so that the daddy government can do it for you, can parent your kids for you. And it's absolutely disgusting. But at least we got a win with the Prime Minister of Japan resigning. But who knows who they're gonna bring in next. It was supposed to be a win against censorship, a win against the authoritarian regime, but we're not seeing that. We haven't seen it yet, so I'll keep you updated on it. Make sure you like the video so that YouTube will actually, put this in the algorithm. Put a comment down below so other people can see this and know what's going on. And subscribe, boys. I'll keep you updated on all of it. Paper or plastic? Paper being good, plastic being bad. The UK and, obviously Australia and the new Home Secretary, I'm going with plastic. Fine. I'll redo that, boys. I'm going with plastic. I think it's plastic as fuck. That's a weak ass plastic. My throat is bad. I'm sick right now. For the Japanese Prime Minister stepping down, I'm gonna go with paper. I think it's a step in the right direction. That's gonna be it for me, boys. I love all of you. Thanks for hanging out with me. GG's. Peace.